3. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. YouTube.com/GeekAloud. It's a Tuesday night. It's 8 p.m. So you know this is the Gaming Enforcement Agency. On the couch is myself, Steve, on Discord. How are you, sir?
Mate, I'm good. I'm also on my couch, and sans one thumb, but we're doing it right.
We do need to hear about that thumb, but before we do, also joining us is Bully on Discord. Bully, how are you this week, mate?
Very good, lads. How are you? I am. Can't say I'm sitting on the couch. I'm sitting on the floor with various items around me.
Oh, nice. I'm imagining a few scented candles, the lights are dimmed, you're sitting on maybe a yoga mat or a nice big soft pillow.
Oh, let's not excite the viewers too much.
I love it. All right. The first thing I have to do is tell all you fine folks how this show goes. Now, let me tell you, it's a lovely 4-course meal we're in for this evening. The entree is games, interrogation, and deliberation. We will slowly go over each and all the games myself, Steve, and Steve, the two Steves, have been playing this week. And then the second course is, of course, the news course, of course. It's the best news we could find for you this week, rounded up and in one segment right there. Number 2. Segment number 3 is the standoff. We have the best of 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 the best versus each other. Steve, more details, please.
Right, so this week in the standoff, given it would normally be E3 month, starting
Yes.
this week, we have got the best 3 calls that have come out that aren't The Witcher 3, because let's face it, give it away anyway, and have 3 in the title, so they must have 3 in the title. So not just the third in the series, because you've got your Tomb Raiders and stuff. That,
Oh, yes.
there were 3 in the series, but they are not technically called Tomb Raider 3, so must have the 3. So in the chat there, if you can think of anything else that's not on this list, because it's a pretty decent list tonight, let us know.
Perfect, Steve. I love it, mate. Great work. And finishing off the meal this evening is the dessert. And, of course, that is audience interrogation. That's where we come over to you and you give us all your sweet, sweet goodness and we discuss it here with you. So, as Steve was just saying, all throughout the show, put your thoughts and comments into that chat. We round them up there in the dessert segment. But let's start the meal off with news. Nope. Games interrogation. First up this week, we have I claim, very impressive Diablo Immortal. I've been playing it on my Android phone. It's only been out a little week. There's been a little bit of news on it. I know I've been playing it, but Steve, Unky Dunky, have you played it, mate? What are your thoughts?
Mate, I'm finally in with the full release that released last Friday, the 2nd, I believe it was. Yeah, and really enjoying it. I went with I can't remember what the class is called, the one that's got the range attacks. That's not the wizard.
Is it the Crusader? Were you throwing a shield?
No, I'm shooting. What are they called?
Is it the Demon Hunter? Demon Hunter?
This is the Demon Hunter. That sounds correct. Yeah, so I really enjoy this class. Like, it's a good range class. It's got some good area of effect attacks as well, and you're unlocking like really cool, stuff throughout the game, like pretty consistently. I think that was one of the big bonuses of this game. It constantly feels like you're upgrading your character. I know there probably will, and it's come up in a lot of the news recently with review scores being bombed and stuff for this game in terms of its very egregious microtransactions when you hit that paywall. But for now, I'm really enjoying the game and I don't see the need to really spend money other than that battle pass. But Troy, I see something in the top right-hand corner there. What can you tell me about that?
Look, Steve, that $23.97 may have been the amount of money I spent during the beta phase, and then when the game itself launched, they've refunded me all the money from the beta. So, no, you haven't dobbed me in there as being a whale. That definitely isn't a thing that happened. I've certainly been enjoying my time as the Crusader class, Steve, and much like you, leveling up very quickly, getting on, feeling like I'm achieving a lot, absolutely loving my time with it. My question for you, Steve, the Crusader class has like a little mount button. I can hit a horse charger. It's like I can like leash opponents and drag them all in, essentially kite a mob of like 20 guys together. But I can use it to speed run through bits level. My question is, with your Demon Hunter class, at some point, do you unlock a mount or something to get you around quicker at all?
No, I haven't yet, and I don't think I can. I think your class might be the only one that's got that horse. I have seen a couple of them running around and do my research before playing the game. What's the best class to go solo? And I think the Crusader and sort of the Demon Hunter were 2 of the better ones to go with if you're going to run solo as well. Mainly the fact, I think if you use like the Sorcerer class, whatever, you can't actually move while you're casting spells, whereas with the class I'm using, you can sort of strafe around and sort of gain distance while still shooting, which is really cool.
Yeah, perfect.
But yeah, no horse as such. I have seen them, sprinting around the battlefield and stuff. But No, I just really enjoying the gear I'm picking up. Like, you don't feel like you're spending too much time in the menus like you can with a lot of these games.
Yes.
It's really pretty much just pick up the best loot, equip it, and then just keep going.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the tracking of quests as well, how it works. Like the fact that you can just literally, if you want to go do like a grindy area where you just have to kill this many enemies, you tap that and he creates a portal, and all of a sudden you're zapped into that area.
Yep.
I just think it's really sort of well designed mobile gaming, and it's easily probably the best game mobile-wise I've played that doesn't actually feel like a mobile game. I think the controls are perfectly done for a handheld mobile phone as well. Like, they don't feel gimmicky. They feel really smooth and responsive. I've tried playing it with the controller as well, and to be honest, like, I almost prefer playing it with the touch controller.
I agree with you completely, man. Great call. Yep.
Mainly because some of the menu stuff can get a bit clunky if you're using the controller, whereas when you just got your hands touching it, you can just sort of, go straight into the menu, and it just is, you don't feel like you're touching too much of the screen. You can, the chat down the bottom, you can get rid of that. You can slide your objectives across as well, so you don't have to see them always showing up on your screen. I just think it's really well designed. It's sort of that mixture of going back to the old school Diablo 2 with a bit more of that fast-paced gameplay of Diablo 3. So I think they've found that blend, and it gets me excited for what Diablo 4 might be. I'm just hoping that, this, microtransaction beast doesn't come in to spoil all the fun.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I've put in a bunch of time into it as well, and I've absolutely loved it. To your point, man, I've hit no issues at all with the paywall. I've read the articles as well. A lot of people out there very negative on this game. But for me, for my money, which, well, let's not talk about the money I put into this game again, but it's a lot of fun. I haven't hit that microtransaction wall. I would argue I was maybe 3 hours in at this point, give or take. From the beta, I reckon I put in easy 30 hours in the beta without ever seeing that paywall. So I'm not expecting to see it again. I think I just passed 21 or 22. I'm 21, 22, right around there. How are you traveling?
About 31, I think.
Oh, Steve, you're nailing me. And did you pick up the Battle Pass?
Yeah, I did. I picked it up. Whatever it was, like $7 or something.
Yeah, $7, I think. Yep.
Around that, yeah, which I think is worth it. Unlocks some, some cool cosmetic stuff for your character, which I think is really nice. It's like, it's just transmog stuff. Like, it just goes over the top of whatever you've got. If you want to use it, you can equip it.
Yes.
If you don't, you just leave it unequipped, and it's really cool. And it's for your portals, it's for your weapons, it's for your actual gear, which I think it's really cool. Like, I'm really enjoying my time with this mobile game, which I didn't expect to actually play a mobile game as long as I have. But I find myself just sort of picking it up and playing. It works really well just on a 5G network. You don't need to be connected to the Wi-Fi internet, although it does help, especially when you're downloading those initial packs, because you've got to install the game, and then if you get too ahead of yourself, then you do have to reinstall it. And I did accidentally hit repair the client.
No!
Which, it was a bit of a bummer because I didn't really realise what it was till it happened. Because I thought that, because I was having a bit of slowdown, I didn't realise, and I thought maybe repair the client's just going to like reset the game, but it did reset the whole thing. I had to reinstall everything. So I thought I lost my whole character, and then I came back and had my character, and then I went to do the mission I was up to, and it's like, this area is not loaded yet. And I'm like, oh damn it! So I had to reinstall everything again. But as of this morning, back up and running. So
beautiful, mate.
It's really cool. I'm not sure. I don't think Bully's had a chance to play it. What do you think, Bully? You're looking at the gameplay now, and obviously had pretty negative things to say to me about this week. Have you changed your tune at all?
Oh, look, I'll be honest. It looks pretty good on the screen, but I always shy away from the mobile gaming. Is it just on the phones you're playing on, or it can be on a tablet like an iPad or something similar for a bigger screen? Because I always find trying to do it on a mobile phone really difficult, especially with trying to use your thumb as the joystick as such.
Yeah, no, you can use it on tablets. But yeah, as I said, the controls, for whatever reason, like you would have played, these games where you're using the directional pad on the screen to control it, but for some reason it works really well. It's so well responsive. You don't find your thumb creeping across the screen at all. It's just, I don't know what they've done. It just feels really good to play, and the feedback from hitting the enemies and the sound effects, everything's just really cool.
Yeah, Steve, I think we're at that golden age now. I think mobile gaming has been in existence now for, call it 14 years, loosely speaking. I think they've just finally worked it out. I'm finding it's common across many mobile games now. They've just worked out where to put the buttons and how far apart to put them so you're not accidentally hitting the wrong thing. I think we're in a golden age of mobile gaming right now, and I would argue Diablo Immortal is the jewel in the crown of current mobile gaming. But Steve, as you rightly point out, Bully, you don't have much to say. I don't have anything else to say. So, gentlemen, I propose we move on to game 2, which is L.A. Noir. And, Bully, I hand it over to you, sir. What can you tell us?
don't think this was one of mine, but I can tell you.
Oh, my apologies. I thought this was yours.
This was mine.
Sorry, Bully, go for it anyway, mate.
Well, I haven't played it since the original Xbox 360, and I enjoyed playing it through there. I know they've done the remastered version, but I always found one of the things, and I know the big selling point was the facial expressions and trying to tell when people are lying or telling the truth or what have you in the interrogations, but I always found it a bit hit and miss on the old Xbox 360. So I don't know with Steve, is it any better with the updated version?
It absolutely is. I didn't expect it to look as good as it does. Obviously, it runs only at 30 frames per second, which, that's okay. It does have that 4K update, and it does look really, really crisp and really nice, and the facial animations really do shine through. And you look at it, you go, why haven't we had anything like this come out since this, or in terms of its facial animation? It is so far ahead of its time, I think, when you play this game and how it actually looks and plays with the way the characters interact, that I don't know if we've actually seen anything better than it. Like, yeah, there's stuff that looks better and is animated probably slightly better in a better graphic quality, but it's just got this realism to it, and the way their faces move and their eyes move is just, I think it hasn't been passed since with this game.
Yeah, I agree, mate. This is the least creepy game we've ever seen from looking at the character models for a long period of time at the faces and not being creeped out. You're right, mate. This is the high watermark.
Yeah, and this is a game that came out in 2011. The remaster, I think, was 2017. But I still don't know how we haven't seen a sequel to this game, because just playing this game, it's so different to everything out there. Like, yes, it is an open world, but it's not really played as an open world game. Like, there's not a whole lot going on in that open world. Like, you got your random police encounters, which sort of change up the gameplay and stuff, which is, every now and again you'll get a shootout. I mean, they're a little bit undercooked. Like, they're just sort of, stuff to break up the other moment-to-moment gameplay of the detective stuff, just because, if you're not shooting something in a Rockstar game, then, that certain market probably going to look at that game and not play it at all. But if they can market that to sort of those GTA fans and then hook them on the other stuff as well, then why not?
Yeah, yep.
So, I mean, I think with the remaster, they changed things up a bit. They had the whole, I think it used to be truth, doubt, and lie in the old game. And then the remaster rebranded that to good cop, bad cop, and accuse. And I was initially...
Which I find way more confusing. I think it was a lot more straightforward previously.
Yeah, you're right. Because, you hear truth, doubt, doubt makes more sense, whereas bad cop, you think, oh, well, I'm just being a bad cop, but it's not, you're doubting what they're saying. And every time... in the context of the game.
When I see that bad cop prompt, Steve, I'm just waiting for Batman to appear in the shadows and slam their head on the table.
It's like that. And I mean, and yes, Cole Phelps does say some funny stuff when you do bad cop, and the random stuff he'll just come out with is actually quite hilarious sometimes. But I mean, it took me a while to figure out what the difference was between the whole bad cop and accuse, or doubt and lie.
Yeah.
I had to look it up, because then once I figured it out, it's actually quite fun. The difference between that is doubt is you've got an inkling that they're lying, but then the accuse or lie was that if you've actually got evidence to back up the fact that you believe they're lying. And so once you sort of figure that mechanic out, it's quite cool to go into your evidence and see what you've got that could prove that they're lying and then accuse them. So I'm having a lot of fun with those mechanics again. I can't really remember much of this game, so it is kind of feeling like I'm playing it for the first time, which is cool.
Nice. And how far into it? Sorry, how far into it are you now, mate?
So I finished the first bit where you're working as a beat cop, and then I think halfway through the thing where you're working as a detective in traffic or vehicle crimes. So
nice, man. The footage synced up well. Then I think this is the second missing on the detective desk we're watching.
Nice, yeah. So that's a few hours in now, and I'll see myself going through it, because I don't think it's that long to go through these things. It's just nice to sort of pick up and play one of these missions. I think it's a long game, man. Is it? Oh, okay.
I think, unless you're using a guide, I think if you play it well, for me, I don't know, I'm a lot slower than you, but when I played this the first time without a guide, I think it was 30 hours to get through it.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's good, because I'm really enjoying playing, so I don't mind having more hours to do it.
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
No, I was going to say, especially with the presentation, the narrator before each mission, the music, it's just, you really feel like you're in the 1940s, and it's just really well done. I just love the atmosphere they've created. So, what were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to ask if for you, like me, every single time I play this game, it makes me want to watch LA Confidential, that film from, what was that, 96 or 98 or something. Every time I play this game, I just want to watch that film. It's like some horrible sickness I've developed.
Oh, nice. So have you seen this gameplay? Have you gone back and started playing it this week as well? Is that what you've been doing?
Well, I actually captured what we're watching this morning. I went back and started playing it maybe 3 or 4 months ago. It was before Christmas even, maybe. I picked it up and played through the first desk and one mission. So I was sort of up to the second mission on Detective 6 months ago, say. And then I just put it down and moved on. But this morning I picked it up and played the end of this mission. I got a little achievement here, Steve, so thanks for putting it on the list. I got my
very nice
traffic stop. You're about to see me pull up alongside this car and have my partner lean out, shoot the back window, and then it comes to a here we go here, and he's going to shoot out the back window and crash the car, and then we solve it. I'll just note I got a 5-star mission rating on this one. I'm quite pleased with myself.
Whatever. Clearly no platforming involved.
Yeah, no platforming indeed. But no, Steve, a brilliant game, and I think I'm going to be going back to this now in the upcoming gaming lull. You've put this fair and squarely back at the top of my list, especially earning that achievement today. Just made it taste ever so sweet. But sorry, mate, did you have any more thoughts, or should we move on?
No, my only one thought, because you said your partner there, that's another good thing I like, that you can actually just hold a button to make your partner drive to the parts as well, and not have to worry about some of that open world sort of bland driving, which I really like. And then you can sort of look at your notes while you do it. It's really good. And even if you are driving, you can just hit the X button and he'll tell you whether you have to turn left or right or stay straight ahead, which is another mechanic I don't think we've seen in any of these games since.
Yeah. It's great. Oh, sorry, Steve, you've prompted me. The one thing I was going to say before was I think the interview, Examine the Faces, they haven't done a full game like this. I agree, no one's rivaled Rockstar in this. But in the smaller sense, there's the indie game Her Story, which, as I understand, was it 3 or 7 hours or something of interviews with a woman? And it is very much meant to be reading real footage of a real woman or an actress's face as she goes through and explains it. So someone has taken another crack at it somewhat recently.
Nice hole. Maybe we'll have to give that a go.
I reckon Steve and Steve, the two Steve, what do you think, guys? Could we come in here and have a legitimate crack at 2 police officers solving Her Story? Could we do it?
There's a lot riding on it.
That's my pitch to you guys. I reckon we get both you in here and do some Her Story. Little indie game, I think we could have a lot of fun. Anyway, that's it for L.A. Noir. Now, I'm hoping, Bully, this is you. Game 3 this evening is Ghostwire. Over to you, Bully.
It is. I know I spoke about it a couple of weeks ago that the slow pace of it sort of was getting to me. But after we discussed it, I went back to it about a week or so later and it totally got me. It got its hooks into me after that. And once you get past, and a lot of it had to do with the controller setup that you mentioned. So once I'd retuned that and got into it, and the movement seemed a lot more fluid, sort of going through the game.
Perfect.
So it sort of worked a lot better working through that way. So much so that I finished the game within a couple of days, and then sort of thought, well, I'll finish the game. What sort of trophies do I need to get the platinum? Started having a bit of a crack at that, and then realised how many of those lost souls that you've got to find, and the absurdity of that. I think I finished the game with less than 50%. I spent another 2 or 3 hours, and maybe went up to about 55-60%, and thought there's no way.
Did you use the prayer beads you get for finishing the game when you new game plus it, and then it auto detects and stuff for you?
Oh, I did that, but the other one that you get at the end of the game was
you don't
not
have
having
to
to
pick
go
up the
back
phone.
to the phone book.
Yeah.
If that wasn't in it as you're progressing through the game, having to go back to that phone book with every 10 or 12 souls that you had collected, I probably would have done a lot more, but it just got so frustrating that you'd have to go, you'd be literally halfway through doing something and then go stop and have to go, okay, where's it? Oh, the phone box is on the other side of the studio.
Yes.
Just really got to me doing that, but made it a bit easier once you finished. But then you sort of lost a bit of the drive once you finished it.
I agree. And how'd you go with that ending, Bully? I was saying on here a few weeks back, it actually got me to tear up. Did it grab you, the ending?
Oh, look, I sort of saw it coming a little bit, so probably not. But I'm of the understanding, and I haven't checked it out, that if you go through and collect all the souls and then go back and replay the last chapter and the ending, there's actually a separate and different ending to it. So I'll have to check that one out as well.
There definitely is a different ending, mate, once you've collected them all. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, but I can say, going back to it, if anyone's picked it up and had a look at it and sort of thinks it's not for them, I was in the same boat. Go back and have another look at it, get those controls adjusted, Ended up having a fantastic time with it. I think I put 25 to 30 odd hours into it, getting through all that and a fair few of the collectible stuff as well until I sort of gave up the ghost, pardon the pun.
Perfect, mate. I love it. And for anyone out there who's yet to pick it up, it is currently on sale in the state. What is it? Games of Play, State of Games, Games of State.
State of Play.
State of Play. That's the sale name I'm looking for. State of Play at the minute. I think it's, 25% off or something. So if you're keen, it's available on discount. And big thumbs up from me. I went through and platinumed it. Steve and Steve both finished it. So we all recommend it on this panel. Very good game.
Now, Troy and Billy, I'm going to say as well, just know this is the same developer as the Evil Within games. So I'm just saying, if you want some quality gaming, go and play those Evil Within games, all right? I
really should get onto that. Oh, it's, October or November, whenever we get the spooky stuff. I'll dust it off then. You have my word, Steve. Game 4 this evening, everyone, is Guardians of the Galaxy. Over to you, Steve.
That was from me again. Another bit of a retro one, or not retro, but a bit of an older title. Look, I'm not a big fan of the Marvel franchises. Haven't watched all the movies. Haven't seen the Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Which may be when you're playing through it, you lose a bit of the finer points of the story. But I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. I found it that it was a really disjointed sort of gameplay that you'd sort of start getting to a few combat scenes, and then all of a sudden you stop and you're listening to a monologue and then someone talking, and it sort of just jumps around a little bit for my liking. And even the combat, I didn't find that sort of enjoyable to even. When you
what difficulty are you playing on?
Just the normal medium one.
Oh, see, mine, I don't know. It didn't ruin it for me. I chucked pretty much everything on, like, how you can have damage output, you can raise that to max, and then enemy damage, you can drop it all the way down. So to make combat more fun, I just did that. So you're not spending hours on combat, and you feel like you're actually doing proper damage. So that might be just like the Ghostwire Tokyo with the control stuff. I think you might have more fun with the combat if you just some of those sliders a bit and tweak it, because I really enjoyed the combat once I did that.
I love the combat, but I had no idea those sliders existed, Steve. It inspired me to go back and have another look. Sorry, Billy, back to you, mate.
I was just going to say, it's not that I didn't enjoy the combat. I think it was just that it was, for me, it was the parts where you're actually engaged in the combat parts was just so few and far between in the storyline, which I know different people and would enjoy the story part of it if they're big fans of the franchise. But I just found that you get into a combat scene, you'd finish that one, and then it was 5 minutes of walking to the next part, 5 minutes of a storyline.
It is,
and then you go back to a little bit of the combat, which that's probably what got me in the end. Is I sort of went through it, looked at I sort of look at the trophy guides before I start playing. Looked at it, thought it would be a fairly easy sort of trophy or platinum to get on the PlayStation, which it turned out not to be. There's a couple of little things in there that you need to watch out for.
Collectibles, is it?
Yeah, the collectibles, and then if you spend too much money in one of the market levels, you can't you can't pay off your debt and things like that. You have to then go back and replay it, which sort of got me. By which point I'd sort of been lost on the story anyway and was a bit over it by that stage and put it down. But I can see if you're fans of the franchise, it'd be good. If not, I don't think there's enough in there to really warrant having a decent look at it, although I know that it's been on and off on sale in various outlets over the last couple of months. So
I think it was on Game Pass as well.
Yeah, I think it still is in Game Pass. I could be wrong. It definitely was in there. I was playing it in there. But, Billy, I find your comments very interesting, man. I absolutely love this game. Real high praise from me. I think I was scoring around 9 out of 10, mate. I absolutely loved it. But what I find fascinating, to your point, you're sort of saying that this going off and the bit where you're exploring and then the bit where there's the narrative before the action, what you're describing there, mate, to me really feels like reading a comic book. It's very much the format of reading a comic book. Action sequence, traveling sequence, monologue, action, travel, monologue, action, travel, monologue. And that is very much the clip of the game, but I really enjoy that style. But I'd never considered it that's how the Guardians of the Galaxy game was structured. But hearing your complaints, it solidifies that for me, makes it clear. I really enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it for the reasons that it was so much like a comic book, and it sounds like that's what put you off, which is fascinating to me, Billy. I love it.
Yeah, well, I suppose that's the other question to ask is, have you guys fans of the Marvel franchise as a whole and Guardians of the Galaxy as a movie? Does that then help the enjoyment of the game?
I loved all the Marvel stuff right up until, what was the last one? Was it End War, Infinity War, whatever that was, when they sort of finished their 10-year arc. Endgame, thank you. When they finished that 10-year arc, I absolutely loved it. And then everything else after that's pretty forgettable, except for the Spider-Man in my mind. But yeah, you're right. I am a Guardians fan. I do like some comics. And yes, I love this. So it spoke to me. I absolutely loved it. Really spoke to me. Really enjoyed it. And sorry, Unky Dunky, how were you? What were your takes on it for Bully? Sorry, mate.
Yeah, well, obviously, I think we've spoken about it before. We both really love this game, and I really, by the end, I love the whole story throughout the whole game. I think we almost called it one of the best stories of last year when we were reviewing the games and stuff as well. And yeah, I'm a fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but I don't think liking that movie franchise as a movie enhances the experience in the game, because I think they do different things with these characters than they do in the movie. And I think they do sort of separate themselves a fair bit from that. So I don't think you necessarily have to be a fan of that story to enjoy this story, because I think it was quite different with what they did. But yeah, I mean, it does probably help with some kind of familiarity with these characters. But yeah, again, like, I just really enjoyed the story they told, and I did enjoy the combat that I had. And yeah, I didn't mind the format of the whole story segment and then combat back to the story. I just really enjoyed the story they were telling. But yeah, I don't know, Bully, if you're going to go all the way through it, maybe suggest just chucking it on easy and, you know, making sure you get through that story much quicker, and then it might be less frustrating, because I think the story does, I don't know how far you are into it, but it does come to a very good head towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm probably about 3/4 of the way. So I think just looking at it, I've probably only got another 4 or 5 hours to punch through it. So I might just grit the teeth and push my way through it. I think the only other thing that was, and again, this is without having seen the movie, was the bickering between Star-Lord and
Rocket.
And Rocket, the two of them, the constant bickering. That, you know, the first couple of hours was humorous, and then after about 10 or 15 hours in, it sort of grinds my gears a little bit.
Well, it does come to a head. Like, they do something with that relationship where they sort of stop doing that, and I think it's almost deliberate in how they're doing it.
Yes, I agree with you, Steve. Oh, and sorry, Bully, I'll just say, mate, the final maybe 2.5, 3 hours of that game is pretty much all combat. Like, it hits a high clip and finishes strong, man. You're going to love the end of the game. It's all gameplay at the end.
As long as they've had a patch released that fixes some of that frame rate towards the end of the game, because there's a lot going on, and the old game couldn't keep up back in the day last year.
It's true, they couldn't, but I think that brings us to a close this week of Guardians of the Galaxy, which brings us to Game 5. The final one this week is the Super Perils of Baking, and I have to note that Lilimo Games sent me the code for this one, so thanks to those guys. The install video is up on the channel, went up today, and I've been playing around with it, Steve. I reckon I've put about 4 hours into it, and I can confirm, news shock, I hope everyone's sitting down, I'm terrible at platforming, so this game is really difficult for me.
I was tempted to get it, but it's a $30 game without obviously being provided a copy. Is that right?
I thought it was 20 or 15, I thought. Could be wrong. Okay. I didn't pay for it. I'm not sure.
No, I thought it was $29.95. Someone, if you Bully or anyone, just jump in and let us know what the price is. But what were your initial thoughts, Troy?
I absolutely love it. You know, it's obviously, for me, NES, Mario, level 1.1, like, it just brings me back to the first video game I ever played, the first console. It's high-speed nostalgia, but obviously it's got a lot more of the more modern platforming game systems, on top. There's multiple lives. There's a store you can jump in and buy some health mid-mission. And they've changed a few of the stuff. So it calls back enough to get you on the nostalgia, but it's new enough that it's its own game. And obviously, if you're better at platforming, you can do some really fantastic stuff. They've got the, what is it, horse, I think, or skate in Tony Hawk's, but in this, it's the word bake. In each level, you've got to run around and get the letters, all sorts of collectibles. The whole thing's good top to bottom. If you're a Sacred Symbols or Last Stand Media fan, you're going to absolutely love it. If you're a platforming fan, you're going to love it. And I can confirm my son, who's, how old is he now? 8? Absolutely nails this game far better than me at it. So if you've got young kids, they're pretty good at it as well.
Is this a remake?
Yes, the first game that Lilimo released was Perils of Baking. This is a re-release of that game. They've called it Super Perils of Baking. Other than the fact that they've re-released it and it's on more platforms now, I don't know what's changed. I've got no idea what's so super about the Super Perils of Baking.
I think my understanding is there's two versions of it. So I'm not sure with the Xbox side, but with the PlayStation side, the PS4 version is, I think, pretty much a hand-for-hand remake of the original. And then the PS5 version is a significantly harder version, including the trophies that you have to get for the PS5 version, which, from my understanding, is things like doing no damage in the whole level and getting all the collectibles while you're doing it and that sort of stuff. So it really ramps up the level difficulty for the PS5 version. So I assume that would be for the Xbox Series version as well. And,
well, yes, I can. Sorry, Billy, I can explain that one if you like. What we've got is because of the smart delivery on Xbox, they can't do it. There's only one SKU available on Xbox, so they can only do one achievement list. But the way the PlayStation's engineered, the PlayStation 4 SKU of the game and the PlayStation 5 SKU of the games are technically different on their database, so they can attach different trophy lists. So that's what they've done. It's the same game on both the 4 and the 5, but the trophy list on the PlayStation 4 version is like your standard or easy or Xbox versions of the achievements. And then the PlayStation 5, it's the same game to play, obviously on a different console, but then just the achievement requirements for each achievement are like 10x harder. So instead of collecting 10, it's collect 100, that sort of thing. That's why they can do it on the PlayStation. They've got two different SKUs, but on the Xbox with smart delivery, they can only deliver once. They've only got one trophy list, if you like, and so they've just put the easy ones on there.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I've had a look at the PS5 version, so I assume the Xbox version is going to be the same, $17.95 Australian. So
there you go. Yeah, that's about where I was thinking.
US, and I think if you do it on the PS5, you get both versions in that cost as well. So
that's correct.
Oh, that's good.
And I suspect it would have been fantastic to play on the Vita. Of course, unfortunately, they're not allowed to release it on the Vita, so we'll never know. Although I wonder if they do. Know. I bet they do as devs. I bet they can play it on there. But
they probably could.
That will bring us to a close for this week's standard Games Interrogation Deliberation, which can only mean one thing, Steve. It's time for the overtime, mate. What have you been getting up to with your overtime?
Mate, I got a bit of overtime on my list tonight. So I dove into a bit of the Game Pass stuff this week and chucked on the old Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden 3 with their whole Game Pass glory and 60 frames stuff. So that was good fun. I remember not being able to get anywhere near close to finishing. I think it was even the first level or first boss in Ninja Gaiden back in the day on the, I think it was Xbox 360.
Can I just ask, sorry, Steve?
Original Xbox.
Original Xbox, yep.
Sorry, Steve, small question. Just Ninja Gaiden 1, 2, and 3, are they all R18 games?
They were. I know number 2's is it Sigma or whatever it was. That removed dismemberment and stuff. So I'm not sure if that changed the rating from R to MA or not. But speaking to number 3, that definitely still has dismemberment and cut bodies in half and stuff. And number 1, I don't know if it does, but number 1 sort of so far it's probably the better game out of the 2. 3 is sort of a bit more advanced in its gameplay and stuff. I think number 1's a bit more pure and it's a bit more Souls-like meets Ninja Gaiden. So I've been having fun with those. Didn't spend too long with them, but it was good for a nostalgia trip.
Was that your first time? No, nostalgia trip. You must have played them back in the day.
Yeah, just played it. I never played 3. I think 2 was the one I played the most. But 1, as I said, I got stuck on that first boss and never got past that. And I've finally beaten that. So I've beaten my childhood self by getting past that first boss.
Perfect.
Yeah, so I'll give myself an applause for that. But I've also jumped into Horizon Forbidden West, which had a massive performance patch update this week, which is very nice to see because the 60 frame mode did look a little bit sort of blurry and there was a lot of weird particle stuff going on and flickering on the screen when you played it in performance mode. That has been completely wiped out. I watched a video today on, I think it was IGN doing a side-by-side, and it is night and day how much better this game looks now. And I had to watch this video because I was playing the game after this patch thinking, holy crap, this game actually looks ridiculously good now compared to what it did. It almost looks as good as it did just running in the 4K, the native 4K 30 frames per second, but in 60 frames now. So unfortunately, I think you've finished finished it. Bully did the platinum, but now it's probably the best time to play Horizon Forbidden West, which is good for me because I haven't finished it yet.
Do you think, Steve, that this would have been a way better spot to launch version 1? Should they have held that game to release until now when this patch was ready and called that version 1? Give itself some breathing room from Elden Ring and then come out in this quality? Would that have been better, do you reckon?
Oh, potentially, yeah. And it's proof that getting games out earlier, especially on this next-gen hardware, like, you know, it shows that even just a little bit more time with the hardware, you can make a game look so much better because, like, it's ridiculous now. If you see these things back to, like, right next to each other, it's crazy how good it looks now. And to think if they just waited just a little bit, they could have just had this on launch day, and then they wouldn't have had any of those gripes with that 60 frame per second mode. Yeah, most of us are going to play it in that mode anyway because we prefer the fluency of the 60 frames. But for me, I was even looking at that, going even back from Elden Ring to Horizon. Horizon just looked kind of dirty and like, I don't know, it was hard to play after playing some of these things in high fidelity. But now it looks really good, and I'm more excited to go back and play it now and potentially even go for that platinum. I know Bully went for the platinum. He said it was a little bit arduous, but maybe it's a little less arduous if it's looking pretty now, Bully.
I really enjoyed my time with it. I didn't have any of those issues with it. I know there was the flickering you're talking about. I never really saw any of that in my playthrough, but I can suggest if you're going to go for the platinum, wind the difficulty right down, and you can get some of the better bows later in the game, and you can just destroy your way through some of the the robot dinosaurs or whatever you want to call them, that when you get towards the end of it, you have to get particular components for crafting and different sort of things that you need to work your way through. So if you drop that right down, it makes it a bit quicker, which I found out way too late in my run.
I love the trophies that aren't tied to difficulties. More games should do that.
Indeed, they should.
And I was going to say, speaking of performance patches and upgrades, mate, remember how I was playing Final Fantasy Stranger of Paradise and I said it looked like a PlayStation 2 game?
Yes, and I played the demo and confirmed it looked like that. What do you got for me?
Mate, this game has had an absolute glow up. It looks really good. It's had the Horizon Forbidden West patch treatment. I didn't know it had it. I looked it up. It apparently came through, I think, May 18th. I clearly haven't played it since then, but I played it now. It's gotten rid of all of that jaggy edges. It looks shiny. It's clean. The gameplay is just as fun as it always was.
Compare it to Final Fantasy VII Remake. Are we getting close performance-wise?
It's getting close. It's getting real close. Like, it actually looks like everything's shiny. Everything looks really good. There is literally no jaggies anymore on screen at all. It is, again, just like Horizon, it is night and day, but like for something that I was enjoying but just couldn't get past how dated it looked, this has completely changed my outlook on it. And obviously, because I've been playing a lot of the old Diablo Immortal, it sort of got me into that loot action RPG, and it was kind of hitting the right spot for me this week where I was just jumping into that, and it was giving me sort of that same vibes. And now that it looks good, mate, I recommend anyone go and play this game. It's got a stupidly idiotic story, but it's what makes it fun. I think it's almost like it's got the so bad it's good vibe about it, but now that it even looks better, like it's so good it's good. I don't know how to say it, but it's a fun time, and now it's pretty.
Do we have Final Fantasy going free in PlayStation Plus or Game Pass? Is there anyone likely to drop Stranger of Paradise into a free service soon, do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been, like, obviously Final Fantasy's been tied to PlayStation more often, and maybe you'll see it with the new PlayStation Plus stuff coming in. I would probably recommend you might see that before you see it on Xbox Game Pass, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. Maybe they both do it, but
maybe a surprise announcement this weekend at the Xbox Bethesda press conference.
It'd be nice. Give us some more gameplay or something for Final Fantasy 16 and tell us Stranger of Paradise is
available now.
One of those things. It'd be nice. But if you haven't already, and I'm not sure I'm sure the demo's probably got the same treatment, but worth just going back and having a look. If you enjoyed the gameplay, just go have a look because it is definitely a different game now.
I might check out that patch and see the demo, excuse me, Steve, and see if they've patched the demo, because I really did enjoy my time with it. It really was financial constraints that stopped us doing the full install here on the channel, but I'm keen. I like what I'm hearing.
Now they sort of, we've cooled a little bit on Elden Ring. I've obviously finished it. I don't know if you've finished it yet, but having something like that now that it's not out at the same time, it's really good fun.
I love it, mate. Sorry, I meant to ask both you guys. I want to put you on the spot before the press conference. I'm glad you reminded me. Both gentlemen, do we think Elden Ring appears free in either service over the E3 month? Do we think anybody announces coming to Game Pass, coming to PlayStation Plus?
No, not a chance.
Bully?
Not a chance in hell, I wouldn't have thought. I would have thought Final Fantasy's got a better run at that than Elden Ring.
Do you think if Microsoft secured Elden Ring for Game Pass, would that make up for pushing Starfield and Redfall or whatever it was? Would Elden Ring make up for it?
I don't know. I reckon most people that were really hot on Elden Ring have probably already got it, but it might get a few more people in, especially if they market it right, especially if they say we're getting... I think we're more likely to see DLC announced possibly at one of these things for Elden Ring.
Oh, I like that. I hadn't even thought about Elden Ring DLC, Steve, but of course, yes, I like that.
Yeah, if you can push Elden Ring DLC then say it's free on Game Pass, I think then you can push it or PlayStation, then you potentially see some traction go. But other than that, that's probably my thoughts.
I like it. Sorry, I completely derailed us. We were, of course, in your overtime, Steve. I believe we're up to Diablo 2, mate. Sorry.
And more overtime, given the whole Diablo Immortal, I've even had a crack at Diablo 2, the remaster they did, was it late last year?
Now, are you playing this on Xbox?
Yeah.
Because I'm playing it on PlayStation 5, and I thought the frame rate was a bit low on PlayStation 5. Tell me, Steve, how does it look on the Xbox Series X?
It looks fine. It looks really good. Obviously, you've got a performance mode and a fidelity mode, and you'd be mad to not run this in 60 frames, but I'm getting a very solid 60 frames per second, which is nice.
I should go back and check that Switch. Maybe I got that Switch wrong. That could be totally on me. I apologize for speaking ill of Diablo 2 on PlayStation 5. Sorry, Steve, please continue.
No, it's all right. It's weird going back to a game old like that when you've been playing the newer version of it. Like, it does not hold your hand at all. It gives you these tasks or quests to do, and you've got to figure out where on this map is. And I believe Diablo 2 is randomly generated levels, so it can change.
I'm not sure about that.
Things. So it's not like you can look up a guide, because it could be completely different on your map. And I have had issues with the online and syncing up to the Battle.net servers and stuff, which has been kind of frustrating. So I've started the game offline mode in that, because I just literally could not get onto a game, which I find it's one of those annoying things is the whole DRM stuff. You know, you've got to be online to play it, even if you're not actually
very frustrating.
So it can be frustrating. And I know offline you have to have at least logged in within the last 30 days. Otherwise, it'll ask you again to log in. But,
now, is that only on your secondary console? Doesn't your home console have extended benefits, I thought?
I have no idea. I've just read up these things on Diablo, and it was easy enough to sync up to the whole Battle.net stuff. It was like give you a code on your TV, and then you go to the website and just punch that code straight into your phone.
Yeah.
And your TV updates, and it says, "Yep, all right, you can access to Battle.net," which was fine. Diablo 2. I don't remember playing it back in the day. I reckon I played Diablo 1, but playing Diablo 2, I've got no memory of it. I know it's a lot of people's favorite Diablo. But yeah, as I said, it doesn't hold your hand at all, and the inventory capacity is quite low compared to what I've been used to with the most recent Diablos, which sucks. You're pretty much 5 minutes into the game, and you've got no space, and you don't know what you're supposed to be equipping. You can pick up stuff that don't even belong to your class, which is frustrating. Like, why does it even give it to me then? I'm not sure if you can put it in your stash and then share it with another character. I'm not sure, but it was frustrating. It was just sort of, obviously it's an older game, but it's more polished than it used to be. I can see that, but it's hard doing that when you've got all the trappings of the new version of this game, which sort of just streamlines everything and makes it a much easier gameplay experience.
Yeah. Yes.
I'll move on from Diablo, but the other game I just booted up just before because it was available as of today on Game Pass, which was Assassin's Creed Origins at 60 frames per second now.
And how's that looking on your a 77-inch monitor I think you rock these days, Steve? How'd it look?
77-inch LG G1, Troy. Ooh. It looks incredible. Origin, and going back and playing Origins, I think that's the sweet spot for Assassin's Creed between the old and the new. I think with the new ones, they're almost too big. Like, I really enjoyed Odyssey and Valhalla, but I think the fact that you've got one sole character, there's not the choose between male, female, it's just like a solid story. You're playing as Bayek. For some reason, the way he walks and moves, he's just got this air of confidence about him that I really enjoy. The
he reminds me of Desmond from number 2. I think he walks the same way that Desmond did in number 2. Sorry, mate, back to you.
he's just got this arrogance to him, and I just really like it the way he walks. He's really confident. It's fun to play. The mechanics are good. I really enjoy the whole Egypt aesthetic as well to the world, which I enjoyed back in the day. And I can see myself playing this probably more than I thought I would, just going back into it, just because it just looks so goddamn pretty. It looks like a next gen game, and it's free on Game Pass. So pick it up, people.
It's amazing. Do you think that meant to go live today? Did they pre-announce that, or do you think that was meant to drop?
Yeah, they did.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe it was because I only saw it in the Game Pass app show up, and I went, "Oh, I think they pulled the trigger a couple of days early."
Yeah, no, they always said the 7th, so I wasn't sure. I did jump on my Xbox this morning before I went to work very early to just try and set up the download, but for whatever reason, I think my internet was down and my whole Xbox wasn't doing anything. So, so I came home and downloaded it. So I was thinking it was 35 gig or something, and it was downloaded in a couple of hours, so it wasn't too bad.
Great work. That's it for your overtime. I didn't get any overtime this week, but how about you, Bully? Were you able to score some overtime, my friend?
Oh, I have a little, and I will say with Assassin's Creed Origins, that was my finest platinum screenshot. I managed to get Bayek standing on the top of a pyramid with his arms up in the air and the moon in one of his hands.
Oh, nice. You'll have to share that with us, Bully. I'll put that up somewhere. That's great.
I will. That was a couple of years ago, so obviously not the new version. Overtime for this week for me, Cyberpunk 2077. Jump back into that.
Which console, sorry, mate?
I played it originally on the PS4 when it came out. Didn't have any of the issues with that a lot of people were reporting at the time. Just didn't really take to me. When it first released, it's obviously had the PS5 patch. Threw it back in, jumped into it. Looks fantastic. I've had no issues again with any of the reported bugs, although I think for the most of the current gen consoles, they're sort of gone by the wayside now. But really enjoying it. Looks fantastic. Looks amazing. Plays really well, and getting back into the story. The other one, which is...
Hold on, mate. If I can just ask, did you notice the massive influx now in nude or semi-nude advertising throughout, Night City, I think?
I'll be honest with you, I haven't paid much attention to that.
I couldn't miss it. I booted back up and it was walls and walls of semi-nude women all down the street. I went, Jesus, they've got it down here.
No, I haven't seen any of that. I think I've just finished one of the first missions where you go into essentially the Hollow strip club. And certainly got a few eyeballs in there, some digital fancies, but really enjoying that.
It's such a great game, mate.
I have to ask, Bully, how do you like the DualSense 5 implementation of that game? Because I thought it was really well done.
I think the first time, and it was the same with Ghostwire when they had the audio coming through the speaker on the controller. I think the first couple of times you hear that, you sort of go, "Oh, hell, that's loud. What's going on?" But really enjoyed the accelerator on the car where you've got to sort of push that little bit harder.
Stuff's really well done.
Yeah. Which is, I think most of it that I've sort of seen in the past is just with bows and arrows and that sort of stuff where you've got the tension and there's a couple of little bits with different games. But I really noticeable when you're driving the car that you've really got to you've got to put a bit of pressure on that to accelerate. And the same with when you're trying to brake, you've got to put a fair bit of pressure on the trigger to brake and slow down. So
I love the pushback on the brake. It's perfect.
Yeah. And it just adds to the environment and the
immersion,
the gameplay as well. Yeah, certainly.
It's beautiful.
So if there's anyone out there that's sort of been putting it off because of all those initial launch issues, I can tell you it runs absolutely fantastic on the current gen console. So certainly one to look out for if you haven't.
Yes, time to pick it up now. Anyone want to guess? Are we going to see Cyberpunk as a free game at E3 this week?
DLC. We're going to see DLC.
DLC, Steve's on the ticket. And sorry, Bully, any other overtime for you, mate?
Oh, the only other one, which is I know I've expressed my disgust in the past for mobile games, but given that I was at home this weekend and the children were hogging all the screens in the house, I jumped back onto Hearthstone on the mobile.
I love it. Bit of Blizzard action. Oh, another Blizzard game. Bit of Diablo and now some Hearthstone.
Little bit annoying though, because for some reason it might have just been because the account was inactive for so long. I did play it a lot back in the day and had got some fairly good cards and worked my way through some of that. Had to basically start from scratch again, which is hurting me. I'll be honest.
I hope you didn't lose a large investment in cards, did you, by chance?
No, you won't have to have Steve make the god-awful whale noise here.
What are you talking about, Billy? That was terrible. Even that was terrible for me.
I love
Sounds like a sick cat in the background.
Well, Steve takes his cat to the vet. We'll jump into You have the right to remain newsworthy. First up tonight, we can thank Tom's Guide for bringing us the PlayStation State of Play June recap, Street Fighter 6, Final Fantasy 16, PSVR 2, and more. Steve, what can you tell us?
Mate, I'm assuming both of you have watched the State of Play. Am I correct in assuming that?
Yes, indeed.
Yep, watched it. Almost fell asleep halfway through it.
Oh, scathing!
Oh, bully blasphemous. I reckon this was one of the best State of Plays they've had, to be honest.
I agree. This is one of their better ones, bully.
Yeah. I thought this was pretty good. Like, when I say pretty good, this is one of the best. I think they had something for everyone, and there was a lot of things in here for me as well. Like when they opened with the Resident Evil 4 remake, I initially thought that was going to be the Last of Us remake, the way it came up.
Yes, they got me as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I reckon it was deliberate by them, those bastards. I reckon they knew what they were doing with that, because I was like straight up I was up and down. But then when I found out it was Resident Evil 4 remake, I was almost just as happy. So,
well, yeah, mate, I can tell you, I got up off the couch. I was so excited. I'm like, yeah. And then they put it up that it was Resident Evil, not Last of Us. And I sat back down quietly on the couch.
Yeah, no, I did. I sat back down with still a bit of, excitement in my belly, because I really like Resident Evil 4. It's one of my favourite ones, and now that it's getting the Resident Evil 2/3 remake treatment with that that RE engine, and which somehow doesn't stand for Resident Evil Engine, it stands for something else. But the RE engine for Resident Evil 4, I reckon that's going to be an amazing game. And I don't think they put a date on it. I think it was 2023. We're going to see it.
I believe, just the year. I'm pretty sure they did just say 2023. I agree, yes.
Yeah, but what was interesting, I think we got, after that we had the PSVR 2 stuff, which was Resident Evil Village in VR, which we were mentioning that why it didn't have a VR at the time it was released. Obviously, they've been working on the PSVR 2 version of it. Then we had Walking Dead.
Yes, that does. Sorry, Steve, I just want to jump in there and agree with you completely, mate. You and I were asking, where is this mode? Where is it mode? And you're right, mate, completely. They finally answered. It was all along it was being cooked just for the PSVR 2, which looks amazing. And thank goodness. Back to you, Steve.
It does. And then a Walking Dead Saints and Sinners Retribution, which looked really cool, which I think is like, it's not a sequel to Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, but I think I don't know what it is, but I think they put a date on it, and I'm pretty sure that date was November sometime this year, or maybe late October, which gives me pause to think PSVR 2, that's definitely coming out before the end of the year if they're putting dates on PSVR 2 games.
What was it? Didn't we have it last week? Was it October 18th or 28th?
It was the Call of Duty. That was like Call of Duty PSVR 2 compatibility. So I think it's the worst kept secret going around. They keep putting dates on PSVR 2 games, yet no date on the PSVR 2. So I think the writing's on the wall there. I think we're going to hopefully get an announcement with Summer Games Fest coming up.
Yep, October 28th, mate. I reckon you can lock it in PSVR 2.
What we didn't get Half-Life Alyx announced, which I thought we were going to, but I think Horizon Call of the Mountain kind of filled the void for that.
I reckon you're right, mate. I reckon we're going to get the PSVR 2 launch date with Jeff Keighley at the Summer Games Fest, and I think that will include the Half-Life Alyx pack-in.
I think we're going to get something like that, but Call of the Mountain actually looks really cool. I'm not sure how motion sick we're going to get trying to play that kind of
on
game.
On that boat, I was going, no, the boat scene in VR, this is not going to go well for me.
No, I totally agree with that. And then we had Spider-Man Remastered for PC, which I think that was the last thing people thought were going to get remastered. I think everyone's thinking it was going to be Uncharted and all that kind of stuff. But they have announced Spider-Man coming to PC, so that's exciting for PC players out there.
Yep. Huge for Sony, megabucks for them on the table with that one.
And speaking of taking my cat to the vet, we've got Stray up next, where you get to play as a little kitty cat. I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that just love cats that are going to play this game just for the hell of it. And this one was announced to be coming free to PlayStation Plus.
And because I'm allergic to cats, I will stray right away from it.
Perfect. Bully, did Stray do anything for you?
Look, it looks good. I don't see where the gameplay is going to be. I know it's about exploring the city, but from what I've seen in
Walking
the short
simulator as cat.
Yes. So I don't know how much further that you're actually going to get out of that than sort of jumping around and manoeuvring your way around little alleyways and stuff. There might be another hook into it that we see when it comes out, but I certainly haven't seen anything that overly interests me other than it looks good.
Yeah, nothing at all interests me about this game.
No, and, which is great because the next game interests me greatly, which is probably my favourite game of the whole conference and now probably my most anticipated game for the rest of the year, ahead of, even if God of War was to come out this year, I think this game is probably now my top of the list for most wanted, the Callisto Protocol, made by the original Dead Space guys.
It looks very, very creepy, Steve, but why isn't this one a PSVR 2, do you think?
No, well, because it doesn't need to be. I mean, it's a third person.
But imagine it in VR. Game. How horrific!
Yeah, it would be very horrific, but I probably still wouldn't play it that way. I've been going back and playing in Dead Space and stuff, and I know that I'm very happy to see this game is now. This is coming out this year. This is December, so it's getting ahead of the Dead Space remake, which I think it's good for it. I think it's not going to be compared to it. It's looking amazing from what we've seen. We saw glimpses of the gameplay stuff in it. It looks very Dead Space. It's very horror. It's right up my alley. And this is definitely shot to number one on my most wanted list. Bully, did this at least do something for you? I know you like to cower in the corner and play games with the lights on, but did this do anything for you?
Well, the lucky thing, the live play in our local time was at 8 o'clock in the morning, so it was nice and bright outside, and I was happy to watch it. It does look fantastic. I must admit that was one that did sort of pique my interest, and 100% it's got that Dead Space vibe to it. So
yeah.
In lieu of us getting that remake anytime soon, that might have to see us over, I think.
Yeah, nice. Now, Bully, I'll just sort of backtrack a little bit because I know you did message me to say you had started playing some Dead Space. What are your initial thoughts playing the original?
I played through the first one back on the 360 when it first came out. I never got to 2 or 3, but I think it's that the aesthetics of the 360, the old washed out brown look, which even though you're sort of going through the dark corridors and you have the flickering lights that goes to the side of the spaceship, and it's all muted browns and greys and sort of doesn't really hold up visual-wise, but gameplay-wise, fantastic. And that cutter, still one of my favourite weapons of all time.
Yeah, it's up there. It's definitely top 3 for me for best weapons in video games. But now, Troy, before I had any of this news, I woke up to a message from you about this game.
I was blown away. This one just took me out of nowhere. I didn't see it coming. I was floored by it. It's the winner of the Summer Games E3, whatever you want to call it. This is it. This is the one to look out for. Came out of nowhere. Roller Dome. My God, Troy, it looks so cool. Yes.
Troy, you're missing an R in the name. It's actually Roller Drome. It's going to be hard.
Roller Drome.
Everyone's going to mispronounce this game forever, I believe.
I really thought it was Roller Dome. There you have it. There is an R in there. Roller Drome.
So just think Ninja Turtles, like the Technodrome. That's
Technodrome. I gotcha. But this looks phenomenal. I was taken back. Do you guys remember? Oh gosh, what was it? Was it called Highway 73? We're talking like late 90s.
76.
Highway 76. Thank you, Bully. You know the one I'm talking about. It's that art style, but then it's rollerblades, and it kind of reminded me of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater a little bit, but then there's shooting in it, and it looks like Ollie Ollie World that came out recently, and I believe it's the same developers.
Same developer. Yep, same developer.
So it's got that awesome-looking art style, and the gameplay just spoke to me instantly. I looked at that and said, give it to me right now. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I was happy with what I saw of that as well. Initially, I thought maybe it's a multiplayer game, but it seemingly is a campaign story-based game. So that was surprising.
I assumed it was an online multiplayer a la, Rocket League or something, was my assumption.
Yeah, those were my thoughts. But from all accounts, it's a campaign story-based game.
Wow. Okay, then. Look good to me. Bully, what were your thoughts?
I don't know how you're getting a campaign into that. I'll be brutally honest with you.
I'm excited to find out.
It did not speak to me in the slightest. It looks the art style. I agree. It looks good, but from what I saw, again, I was of the same opinion that it was an online multiplayer, similar in vein to the Knockout City, I think, which came out last year.
Yes.
But and that's what I was sort of was under the impression that's what it was. But you trying to tell me it's a single player game, I don't know how you're spending more than 5 minutes with that.
To me, it just oozes minute-to-minute fun gameplay. Just looking at it, I can see the moment-to-moment awesome gameplay. It just drips off it. I can't wait. Next up, Steve, was what? Eternites?
Eternites. Weird name for a game. It's like they've just chucked words into a generator and just come up with it. But
I thought it was the opening line to that. Was it Pantera or Metallica song? Isn't that Eternites? Exit Lights? No?
Exit Lights?
Enter
Night.
We went a really long way for a really bad joke then. I apologise. Steve, over to you.
That's fine. No, this game actually's got a pretty cool story. The developer of the game, he loved Persona 4 back in the day, so he quit his job, whatever he was doing, and he's like, I'm going to make my own version of Persona, and this is what he's
I hope he wasn't a brain surgeon or something.
Yeah, I don't know. He might have been a cleaner. I don't know what he was doing, but either way, he's made this game with a very small crew, and you watch the trailer, it does really have that Persona vibe. Like initially when I was looking at the trailer before they announced, I was like, is this a new Persona?
But, wait, no, is this the one with the hand holding?
Yes, that's it.
Oh, no, Popo. Big pass from me on this one.
Dating sim.
Yeah, I don't see myself playing it, but that's. I thought it was just a fun story that he's really enjoyed Persona so much that he's tried to make his own version of it. I hope it does
That's
well.
epic.
Yeah, but Street Fighter 6, that was cool. That showed some open world gameplay, which I thought was quite crazy, and I really enjoyed the art stuff with the graffiti and the splashing of the paint. I thought it's got a really cool art aesthetic to it. So I'm not a huge fighting fan, but
I was going to say I'm not big on my Street Fighters, but do either of you chaps remember? Did Street Fighter 5 get absolutely pulled apart for DLC? Were they really expensive DLC packs or something? I vaguely recall
something like that.
Yeah, I seem to remember controversy around Street Fighter 5's DLC. But anyway, sorry. My apologies. I've derailed us once more. Steve, please, the next game was?
I was just going to say, Street Fighter 6, apparently there's a mode now in it. It's got some control stuff where it's got the traditional control fighting stuff, but it's also implemented a fighting style more akin to like your Smash Brothers, like a 2-button directional based fighting thing. So I can see that really doing well for casual gamers that don't want that sort of sim fighting game than, trying to be the best of the best, but just having fun with a fighting game. So I could see that actually doing well for Street Fighter, and that whole open world stuff kind of looks cool as well.
That's awesome. I love the sound of that, man. That's great.
Wally, did you have anything?
I think that open world thing's put me off. I'm not a big fighting game fan either, but it's funny you mention that because I downloaded the NBA 2K22 last week off of Game Pass and played through that, and for some reason they have decided to throw an open world into a basketball game.
Gave me those same vibes.
It is ridiculous, and that is exactly what I got out of looking at Street Fighter. If I want to play a basketball game, I would want to play basketball. I don't want to go running around town, and it's the same with Street Fighter. Let's just fight. I don't want to go running around town looking at things.
Fair call.
Fair enough. Now, I think the next one you've got to do a fair bit of looking at, don't you, Steve?
Yeah, we've both done a bit of Tunic. Such a great game. Good to see it coming to PlayStation as well. I'm not sure if they announced this was PlayStation Plus.
No, they certainly did not.
It was Game Pass, though, wasn't it?
It was in the Game Pass, but I think it was, 3-month exclusive? That 3-month exclusive must be coming up.
Yeah, so they're getting that. Great game. Good to see they're getting one of the best indies that's come out in recent times. So,
indeed.
Bully, did you play Tunic?
Yeah. I reckon I put about 10 or 15 hours into it. Absolutely loved it. The art style in that one was absolutely amazing.
Oh, it's nice. You knew about the gameplay mechanic being the game manual that Troy neglected for pretty much the whole game. So
I thought that was relatively self-explanatory. But
so did I. Bully.
Only if you stop and read it, guys. Only if you stop and read it is it self-explanatory. Next up, Season A Letter to the Future. I know nothing about this one. I must have fallen asleep. What was this one?
Well, Bully's already asleep at this point because he fell asleep at a Rollerdrome looking at halfway through the presentation. So I did see this one. They announced this at E3 last year. Sort of like art style is quite sort of that sort of not comic booky, but sort of I'm trying to think of the art style. It's very cartoony kind of art style. It's more of one of those exploration games. You're riding around a bike. I think you're taking photos.
On the bike, that's right. It's come back to me, yes.
Yeah, so cool kind of art style where you just sort of cruise around, take photos. Probably one of those more explorer type games where you're not doing a whole bunch and it's just about the relaxing experience. What was that guitar game that we had last year?
Escape from something. Escape from what was it?
It's just more akin to that. I'm not sure how much gameplay there is actually in the game. It's more of experience more than the game. But I don't think I'll play unless it's maybe a Game Pass thing at some point. Given the fact this is a state of play, I'm not sure if it's Sony exclusive. But I'm not sure. Bully, were you awake for this this game?
No, I think the next one on the list is the one that woke me back up again.
Yeah, good. Yeah, Final Fantasy 16. Back to its olden day tropes, and we've moved away from Final Fantasy 15, which was the boy band trip across America, essentially, which I somehow
you're
really
a big fan of, Steve. I
was a massive fan. It came out of nowhere for me. I love that game, 100% of it, and got all my characters up to level 100 over wherever it was. But This one's looking really cool. We've got all our big what are they called? You got Ifrit and all those guys. The summons are back in the game, and that's what really stole it to me back in the day for Final Fantasy VIII. I love my summons. This game's looking really cool, and I think it's going to do really, really well.
Yeah, it will. It was a great presentation, top to bottom. Any final thoughts from anyone?
I just wish we'd seen something on Last of Us Remake. I reckon maybe we're going to get some stuff in some Game Fest, but this I think was still one of the strongest state of plays we've seen.
I might be jumping ahead, but haven't Sony announced they're doing another backup presentation on the 18th?
Oh, we've got a date. I knew they were still part of Summer Games Fest. I wasn't sure if it was an actual event.
I could be totally wrong on this, but I feel like about 4 hours ago I read an article saying that Sony had announced on the 18th they were doing another one. That's for anyone to check out there. I got no idea. If a smarter man would have put that in the news himself, man, I really wasn't thinking today. All right, story 2 today, Sonic Frontiers. This is on Kotaku. Sonic Frontiers looks like a bland Unreal Engine tech demo, apparently. Steve, what did you read and what can you tell us?
Well, I don't know if any of you guys watched they've had IGN's been doing the IGN first on Sonic Frontiers. It was touted as the Breath of the Wild of Sonic, which is kind of what it looked like initially. But some of the gameplay stuff, like it kind of looks okay, but also very bland. And as this thing says, it does kind of look a bit like an Unreal Engine tech demo. And the first one, I think, was sort of based off adventuring and just sort of exploring across the world. I had him sort of running across the world, not running as fast as you would hope. Maybe it's because you got to unlock abilities to make Sonic run faster. I don't know, but he didn't seem to be going as fast as you would want him to. And then everyone's like, there's a bit of a lack of combat. And then they released a couple of days ago the combat gameplay, which was, I don't know, it was very mediocre from what I saw. I'm not sure. Did any of you guys see any of that stuff?
No, I'm just trying to scrub through to it now, mate. It's just rolling on stream now, though.
Bully, did you check out any of this Sonic gameplay?
I did. I saw the original trailer. I haven't seen the one with the combat and stuff in it. I'll be honest. I get the viewpoint of the tech demo sort of thing, and I can fully understand that. But I'll be honest. I've never been a big Sonic fan, but for some reason, I like the look of it. If there's gameplay that goes with it, which again, I'm not sure where you're getting that from, but if the gameplay that goes with it can stand up in an open world, I think they might be onto something with that.
Yeah, I think there's some fun to be had. It just remains to be seen whether they can hit that moment-to-moment gameplay. It's just, from what we're seeing at the moment, I do like the aesthetic of the world and stuff. It's just the gameplay just needs to hold up. And I don't know. They've said this game's supposed to be coming out this year. It's one of those ones I'm like, please, for the love of God, just maybe don't release it this year.
Well, it's funny because there's been some online petitions similar to the Sonic movie of redoing the original Sonic. There's actually been online petitions this week saying, please do not release it this year.
Well, yeah, hopefully they work just as well as that petition for the movie does, because I don't think it's finished just yet. I think they need to push it back if they they want Sonic to have its renaissance and, reach a broader, player base, because I think where it probably all together, you've come out and said that you're not a massive fan of Sonic. I think Troy and I have previously said we're not the biggest Sonic fans. Again, really enjoyed the movie, and there's a thing, I do enjoy the character, but the games have never spoken too much to me, and a Breath of the Wild style open world Sonic is probably the best chance it's got to getting me to play a game with Sonic in it. It's just, from what I've seen so far, it's not really drawing me in, especially with the quality of games we've seen that are about to come out.
Yeah, it's
I think the other issue with it as well is that there's been commentary around it. If you take Sonic out of it and put another character in, it would actually look a bit more appealing, but you're trying to shoehorn Sonic into an open world, which may not necessarily work.
That's true, yeah. Sonic does sort of stand out it's the character model himself doesn't sort of do himself too many favours to be put in a realistic Breath of the Wild looking world. And I think, you've said it pretty much nailed it on the head. If it was a different character, this game would probably look kind of cool.
It's fascinating to me, like, they've done so much with the films over the last couple of years to really bring it up in pop culture and make it interesting. It would be such a shame if they fumble this game. They are, like, the last couple of years have just set themselves up. If they could release even like a 7.5 out of 10 type of game, they're onto a winner. I just hope it can meet that sort of bare minimum acceptable level, and then, all the good years movies won't be for naught.
Well, I think at the moment it's kind of looking like a 7 out of 10 game. That's kind of what it looks like at the moment, which, I mean, that's probably enough to get me to play it. But I think, with a character like Sonic, you kind of want to be shooting for an 8 or 9.
Yeah, definitely.
Out of 10.
Definitely.
This day and age, if you're going to get people to play it. That's just my thoughts.
No, I'm with you 100%. All right, story 3 this evening, Just Cause. New Just Cause game in development. Square Enix have confirmed this one thanks to GameSpot. Steve, any more details?
Not many, other than that. Essentially, I just saw the story today drop, and I was just excited and put it in here because I was not aware they were doing it. I know they've got that game Contraband, I think, is the game they're currently working on, which I think is a multiplayer style game. So to see that there is another Just Cause in development. I'm a massive Just Cause fan. I've loved them since number 1. I've played every single one. I've finished every single one. I've played all the DLCs for every single game. I'm just, very excited to see a next-gen version of Just Cause, because I don't think any of them have ever run at 60 frames per second, so I'm very excited to see one running at 4K 60, just with all the bells and whistles of a Just Cause game. Bully, have you played or enjoyed the Just Cause game?
Sorry, Steve, if I could just ask you one question, man. How are you going to feel when they reveal it's got that Fortnite Saints Row new look to it?
Oh God, I hope not.
Sorry, over to Bully for your impressions.
It's not going to do that. It's not going to do that. Don't put those words out there into the atmosphere. No,
keep wishing. You're going to be sitting in a corner, rocking yourself, slowly sobbing when they show you that he's a 17-year-old with a pink top on.
Okay, Fortnite looks awesome. I'll buy all the skins. I'm a whale. There's my whale. There you go. If it looks like that, I don't care.
Sorry, Bully, what were your thoughts?
Well, that's exactly what my thoughts are, is that, as it says in the article, that it's been sold off to the Embracer Group, which is basically THQ Nordic, and they are the kings of B-plus grade games. And that's sort of where I'm looking at it, is I don't know how the art style is going to go, I don't know how the direction is going to go, and it's just going to be that sort of middle-tier type game. I've enjoyed the ones in the past, even with their frame rate issues and that sort of stuff, especially with the last one was horrendous in parts. But that's sort of my concern is you're dropping it into that middle tier, which I don't know if it's going to get the traction for it.
Yes, I've been very cruel to Just Cause. I'm a big Just Cause fan. I love the grapple hook. I love the ridiculousness over the top of Just Cause. I'm a huge fan. I'm excited by the new title. I can't wait to go hands-on with it. Give me more Just Cause. Yes, Rico. All right, next up we have GoldenEye 007 achievements leak on Xbox suggesting a remaster is incoming. This is thanks to GameSpot, Steve.
This rumor I think has come up a few times now. This is probably the most thing that's given credence to actually being true, and I'm hoping it is, because it'd be nice to see just a GoldenEye, remaster. I think with these rumors coming out now, whether we see something at Summer
This
Games Fest to
weekend?
say this thing's imminent, I'm hoping, because
Yep.
the leaks have occurred for quite a while now. So if that's true, then maybe this thing's been in development a lot longer than we think it is. So I can see this being real fun. If this is like, Game Pass straight after Summer Games Fest, that'd be exciting.
Now, Steve, is this the now available, on Xbox Game Pass? Does this immediately follow the gameplay reveal of IO Interactive's new James Bond game?
New James.
Yeah, do we see the trailer for the new James Bond game and then, bam, GoldenEye 007 available now Game Pass this weekend?
Oh, God, I hope so. I'd totally forgotten about that game, but I reckon we're probably due to see something on that game because it's been a while. They've been a bit quiet. Hitman 3's been out a while. So, yeah, I reckon it could be an announcement, and then let's back it up with a GoldenEye available now Game Pass. Bully, what do you reckon?
I would love it. I've tried to go back and play the original, which I loved back in the day.
It's hard.
It's difficult. It's very difficult to play it on the old N64 controllers. Very janky. My only issue is I know there was a GoldenEye remake, re-release, whatever you want to call it, on the original Xbox and the PS2 era.
Was that the Rare Replay bundle?
No. There was a redone one.
They redid the whole thing, yeah. It was a different kind of game, but still called GoldenEye.
Yeah, so my only concern is that they're not redoing and re-releasing that one.
Oh, that'd suck.
Oh, imagine that GoldenEye 007 and the remake they did. Oh, that would suck. The only Bond game I need remastered is the Bloodstone with Daniel Craig. That game is god tier.
You've talked it up before, Steve, and you've made me want to play it. I've never gone hands-on on it, I believe.
I need that game back as compatible so bad. For some reason, it's the Uncharted of James Bond. I just love that game.
I love it. I'm all for it, which brings us to the new releases coming out this week, of course, from GameInformer.com, leading us off. Spellforce 3, Reforced, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XX, PS4, Xbox One, coming out June 7th. Steve, do you know anything else?
Not much. I'm guessing Reforced means it's remastered or something of that kind of ilk, because I've never played any of the Spellforce games. I think it's a turn-based top-down RPG.
I know nothing about Spellforce.
Bully, anything?
Pass.
Yep.
Don't know anything about it.
Yep.
Haven't played any of the original ones, so...
Fair enough. Your guess is as good as ours out there. Next up now, I know a lot of people are a big fan of this one. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, The Sith Lords. This one's just coming to the Switch, though, June 8th. Fellas, any thoughts?
My thoughts are it could be probably played better on other consoles, but anyway.
Indeed. Bully, are you a Knights of the Old Republic fan?
Oh, I played through the first two on the original Xbox. Loved them to pieces. I can't... Is it a remake or just a port from the...
No, it's just a port to the Switch.
Yeah, so I can't imagine that the Switch is going to have any issues running it, but it was the lesser of the two KOTOR games, so...
Fair enough. I reckon with our Summer Games Fest, I think we might hopefully see some gameplay of the remake of the old Star Wars Knights of the Republic 1, which we're getting, which I'm thinking we're going to get some real-time combat. And I think they're going to move away from the turn-based stuff, which should be exciting.
Fingers crossed on that one. Next up, get your Excel spreadsheets ready. It's Pro Cycling Manager 22 and Tour de France 2022. Pro Cycling Manager 22, coming to PC June 9th. Tour de France 22, coming to PS5, Xbox Series XX, PS4, Xbox One, and PC, also June 9th. Either of you gentlemen cycling fans? I am not.
You've got a cycling game, but not only is it a cycling game, which is boring, but it's a managerial game of cycling.
So what you're saying, Steve, you've pre-ordered, preloaded, and you're waiting till midnight?
Oh, I can't wait. That's game of the year material right there. Who's playing that game?
Not me. Bully, are you going to give it a look in, mate?
Not a chance, but it's funny with those ones because I know there's like the European Truck Simulator, which I don't know who's buying ones like that either, but apparently they sell well.
They ain't broke.
I don't get it. Anyway.
Now, Steve, I'm going to have to lean on you early for this next one. I'm going to do the first two words, Demon Slayer, and then I'm handing it over to you.
Kimetsu no Yaiba. Oh, that's an I. Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinakami Chronicles.
That is, of course, coming to the Switch on June 10th, and I know nothing about it. Steve, any thoughts or feelings?
Yeah, I've got no idea what that is.
No, I know it's been previously released on the PS and Xbox system, so just a Switch run on that one. Again, I don't know how well that's going to run on a Switch, but we'll find out, I suppose.
Indeed, we shall.
About 10 frames per second, Paul.
Then we have Mario Strikers Battle League coming to the Switch June 10th. I know nothing, fellas.
This looks cool. I reckon, Troy, you've been getting into and Bully, you've been getting into Rocket League and stuff. This is actual soccer. With
thanks,
this looks fun, though. Mario Strikers always been good. I know there was a demo. I think you could pre-order the game, or you could just download the demo like a few days ago or something. You can get in on and play this. But no, this could be quite fun, I reckon. This has got some good couch co-op vibes about it. Not sure if I'll get it, but I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I'm going to go out on a limb, though, Steve, and suggest you're going to get the next one. It's The Quarry coming to the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XX, PS4, Xbox One, PC, out June 10, not coming to Game Pass. But, Steve, tell us things.
I'm in. Bully, you're probably in as well.
Sorry, Steve, just give us a quick rundown. Who are the developers and what have you been playing from them recently to get you warmed up?
I reckon we'll let Bully take this one. He knows all about the developers. They're one of his favourite types of games, aren't they, Bully?
Oh, I do like them. So they've had, and Steve, you might be correct me if I'm wrong, but the first line of this type of game was on the PS4, and for some reason,
Until Dawn.
Just gone Until Dawn. I've gone completely blank on it, and then they moved on to the sort of
Within?
No, it was the bite-sized ones.
We had the Man of Medan,
Dark Pictures anthology,
right?
Which
Man
was sort
of House of Ashes, and Little Hope, I believe.
Yep. They're sort of they're like the old books you might have read back in the 80s and 90s, the old Choose Your Own Adventure. So you play through it depending on decisions you make or how good you are with timing on certain actions and stuff like that determines whether someone lives or dies. And if it's similar to Until Dawn, you had 10 odd characters starting that one, and you could make your way through it with everyone living or no one living and everyone dying or somewhere in the middle. So massive replayability value, and the quality of them, especially with the facial captures and that sort of stuff, amazing.
Yep, absolutely. I can't wait for this. It's right up my alley. Like, I did enjoy House of Ashes, was the most recent one they did, but this sort of aesthetic with the whole, kids out in the woods and horror movie vibes to it, I absolutely can't wait. This is the spiritual successor to Until Dawn that I've been waiting for, and come Friday, I will be neck deep in this one. If my neck's still on the top of my head by the end of it.
I love it. That rounds out the news segment for the week, which, if I'm not mistaken, must bring us up to everyone's favourite segment, the standoff. Steve, where is it?
Who will fight?
Fight.
Who will fight? This week we have got, given that it's E3 month, we have got the best threequels that aren't The Witcher 3 and have 3 in the title, because let's face it, Bully's going to give Witcher 3 the win no matter what category, what standoff it's in. It doesn't matter. So it's not on this list because Bully would give it the win anyway.
Well, if it's not on this list, it's much like E3. It's not relevant anymore.
I love it. Leading us off on screen right now, Steve. You can see GTA 3, mate.
GTA 3. This defined games, and just every game that came out after it, 3D action adventure open world games, you can thank this game for. Yes, you can still play it with the top-down graphics like you could GTA 2s and stuff, but as far as 3 games go on this list, you can't probably say any other game has defined video gaming as much as GTA 3. What do you reckon?
I agree completely, mate. I've spent so much time in GTA 3, and it made my PlayStation 2, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
PlayStation 2, I absolutely thrashed my PlayStation 2 with it. How about you, Billy?
Same. I put countless hours into it, and I will say though, the Vice City for me is that one step above. Just with the aesthetics of downtown Miami and the glitz and the glamour. That was what did it for me more than GTA 3.
Oh,
Perfect.
it did. But in terms of, that was more of an iteration based on the fact that we had GTA 3 in the first place. So I think GTA 3 gets the props for sort of moving the genre forward more so than any sort of other GTA. But you're right, Vice City, I prefer Vice City as a game and as an aesthetic. But you can't argue the fact that GTA 3 didn't do more for video games than pretty much any other game, I almost want to say.
I think it set up a whole batch of clones on their original Xbox and the PS2 that came out for years and years afterwards.
Yep, and arguably probably didn't do it as well as GTA 3 did.
I agree. Moving on, next up we have Fallout 3, guys. Fallout 3.
I had never played a Fallout game until Fallout 3, and obviously the other Fallout games are much more different. They're sort of your top-down isometric style games, but I fell in love with Fallout 3. I remember working at EB Games. I got a free copy of this game and started playing it and just absolutely fell in love with it. It was one of the best sort of RPG games I had. They brought in the VAT system for the first time, which was also
the VATs.
new to video games. It was such a cool mechanic in itself, and I really enjoyed the aesthetic of this game, the time period, the presentation of it as well. I think this is where Pip-Boy phenomena started. I don't think we had Pip-Boy before this in Fallout, and he's become an iconic character himself. But again, this defined Fallout and sort of probably was most people's first, introduction to the Fallout games, and just probably made people fall in love with it even more. Unfortunately, Fallout 4, although maybe arguably a better game, was kind of just a better looking version of Fallout 3, which speaks to how good Fallout 3 actually was.
Indeed, I loved it.
I still remember the music in it too. I could probably sing a few bars off the top.
Oh, go, mate, go!
Absolutely, absolutely rammed into my head playing that game, and absolutely love it. Still happy to listen to those tunes.
Oh, it's great stuff. All right, game number 3 is God of War 3, of course. Now, who doesn't love God of War 3, Steve?
Oh, God of War 3, arguably one of the best openings to a game ever. Where you literally are thrown into the fact that you are on the back of a giant and then you're fighting Poseidon. Does it get more grand than that? Like God of War 2 was good, but then God of War 3 just took it to the next level. I remember playing the demo for that game over and over again before the game actually released and being so impressed with it that I just needed that game to come out. And then the whole game itself was just such quality. I still remember, bashing my head against the wall fighting Zeus, the last boss, because it's one of the hardest last bosses I've ever fought. But for me, it was that opening, just riding on the back of Gaia, climbing the mountain to reach the gods, and fighting Poseidon. It was just an absolute epic experience, and I think it still holds up pretty well today if you get the remaster version.
It was awesome. All right, game number 4, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater. I need to hit play. Steve, over to you, mate.
Metal Gear Solid 3. I loved Metal Gear Solid 2, and then I got Metal Gear Solid 3 when it came out, but I can't remember what it was that came out at the same time, but I started playing something else and never finished Metal Gear Solid 3 at the time. It wasn't for much later that I actually finished Metal Gear Solid 3, I think, on the Vita.
Oh, wow.
And really, and really enjoyed it. But it was so much more different to what we had with Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 1. It went back in time and told us a different story, and it had that sort of Rambo kind of vibe to it, which was really cool, and it's held up pretty well. Like, I'd love to see a remaster of this game out of the Metal Gears. I think out of all the Metal Gears, I think it would hold up really well if they did a remaster of this one or a full remake of this one. I'm not sure. Like, I'm a massive Metal Gear Solid fan, but this was a good one.
It was a fantastic one. Sorry, guys, we've got to get moving here. Duke Nukem 3D. Duke Nukem 3D, Steve.
I'll let Bully take this one. Do you remember Duke Nukem 3D back in the day, Bully?
Oh, I remember the first level. I played that. Once you got further into the game, I sort of lost a bit of interest. But that first level, roaming around the city in the picture theatre or stripper theatre, whatever you want to call it. I reckon as a young teen kid, I would have put countless hours into that first level.
Oh yeah. This is. We said G.E.A. 3 sort of defines sort of open world 3D game. This is one of those ones that defines sort of first person shooters back in the day, and a lot of games probably held fast to Doom and stuff. But for some reason, I was drawn to Duke Nukem. I remember playing the 2D games, and back in the day, Duke Nukem 1 and 2, and then it came out in 3D. I was like, oh my god, we're going to 3D Duke Nukem game. It was cool.
It was very, very cool. All right, next up, another very cool one, Max Payne 3, one of my favourites.
Oh, one of my favorites too. I've well documented this year. Gone back and played it and replayed it, and it just needs that 4K 60 frame update on the Xbox. But what a game! Like, this is easily one of the best games I've ever played. I love it.
I absolutely love it too. Big fan. Mass Effect 3, Max Payne 3. Excuse me, but next up is Mass Effect 3. Steve,
Wooly, you want to take this one as well?
I'll be honest, I didn't put a lot of time into this one. I think I was put off by the old controversial ending, and the first two games didn't matter what you did in those, and I sort of started playing through it, heard some of those rumours, and it really put me off and never went back to finish it. But
oh, wow, yeah, see, I did finish it and really enjoyed it. It was one of those ones where, though, it didn't sort of do much more than number 2 did. I think number 2 is still the best game in that franchise, which is why this game's probably lower on the list of 3s to come, whereas a lot of the ones we've spoken about previously are almost the best versions of their games. Obviously, God of War, for the most recent God of War, is complete, reimagining of the whole God of War, which is way better. But, yeah, Mass Effect 3, we've got Andromeda, which is still worse than number...
Oh, I've hit a button. Sorry. I've hit the wrong buttons. My apologies, everyone. I ended the show way too early. I was not aiming for that button. I was aiming for this one. Dark Souls 3. Sorry, Steve. We've really got to crank this home, buddy.
Let's go. All right, we've got Dark Souls 3. Obviously, probably one of the best games of the Dark Souls series. I think it's probably my favourite. I didn't really get into Dark Souls 2, but really enjoyed Dark Souls 3 and finished it. Fell in love with that after Bloodborne.
Fantastic game. I absolutely love number 3, but it can't beat Elden Ring. All right, next up we've got Halo 3, Steve.
Halo 3, massive, comeback from Halo 2. I mean, most people say Halo 2 is amazing and they love their multiplayer, but for me, I hated playing as the Arbiter. I still do. I think if I want to play a Halo game, I want to play as Master Chief, especially after Halo 1 and the reading of the book. So all I want to do is play as Master Chief number 2, and I couldn't do it. Number 3, I could. Great story. One of the best campaigns in the Halo franchise to date. Easy.
Love some Master Chief's action. All right. Woo! One of my favourites from last year here, Hitman 3.
This is all you.
Hitman 3. I absolutely love the entire Hitman franchise. Strength to strength. 3's the best. Here it is, looking its best. I'll let everyone know it's still on sale at the minute. The whatever we decided the PlayStation sale is, you can still get up 1, 2, and 3 remastered or whatever the heck it's called on the PlayStation 3. You should definitely do it. Hitman 3 is fantastic. Next up, Steve, is Uncharted 3.
Uncharted 3, again, it's argued like which one's better, Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3. I could argue, Uncharted 2 is probably arguably my favourite Uncharted for what it is. You could argue that Uncharted 4 is a better game, yes, and I enjoyed it maybe more, if not the same as number 2, but for where number 2 was for me, that is my favourite. 3, it could be argued that, yes, it is maybe a better game, but it also came out a lot long after it, so they had a lot more time with it than number 2. So, but yeah, what a great game. What a great series. 3, such an amazing game. It's got some of the most iconic, biggest moments in any of the Uncharted.
That it does.
You've got the boat, you've got the cargo plane, which made its way to the movie. Like, this game's got that many big moments. It's just ridiculous to think one and could have that many moments. It opened with a punch up in a bar, which is not anyone thought would happen after the whole opening of, in a train upside down. Number 2, it was sort of completely different, flipped it on its head. Uncharted, I can't talk much more about this franchise other than, I can't only say that number 3 is one of the best games because the whole franchise for me as a whole is such a good franchise.
It is a great franchise. Next up on the list is Far Cry 3, Steve.
Bully, this one's all you.
Best Far Cry by far, I think. It's gone a little downhill in the last couple, but the only downside to this one, I think, was that the main protagonist that was advertised in all the trailers, Vass, it's probably not a spoiler to say now, it's about a 10-year-old game. He drops off the cliff about halfway through the game and then you're forced into fighting against someone who I can't even remember. That's how much of an impact he had. But the game itself, wandering around that island, is still looks
that it
amazing.
Does.
Agreed.
And the final one for the list this week is Gears of War 3. It's rolling now. What can you tell us, Steve?
Gears of War 3, this was a perfect follow-up to Gears of War 2. It had a slightly more yellow aesthetic, I think, than a lot of the other games did. There was a lot of emulsion stuff going on with the enemies and a whole bunch of different stuff with story and Marcus Phoenix and his dad. And, again, it's one of these games, you think maybe you lose steam after 1 and 2, but no, 3 came out, it was bigger, badder, and probably better than the rest. Like it sort of moved the gameplay forward and stuff as well. Number 2 might have had a slightly more emotional resonance with Dom and his wife and all that kind of stuff. But I love my time with number 3. And again, I almost hope we go back to these set of characters for the next Gears of War, but I think we're moving forward with those new set of characters. They may not go backwards, but it'd be nice to see these guys in glorious 4K 60 frames per second on our brand new consoles.
Oh yeah, you might see a remastered package, but that's the end of the set-off. Who's going to win it, guys? I think my nomination is for Max Payne 3. Who wants to disagree?
Oh, so I was leaning one other way, but you've gone and said that. I was going for another Rockstar game.
Oh.
It's a pretty close one for me in terms of threes. I think G.E.A. 3 obviously did a whole bunch for the video game industry as a whole, being a number 3 and being such a departure from the top-down stuff it was G.E.A. 2 to go in that mode. But you know how much I love Max Payne 3, and I still wish there was more games third-person action like this. I'm actually going to give it a tie between G.E.A. 3 and Max Payne.
Nice. What about you, Bully? Where are you sitting?
Bully is the deciding factor, essentially.
Oh, well, I'm an outlier here because I would have gone Fallout 3 and the impact that would have had going into Skyrim and to a lesser extent Fallout 4, but certainly Fallout New Vegas as well,
yes,
and the impact those ones have had. But if you're going to make me
you're the deciding vote, mate.
Split the vote there. I'll have to go with the first one, and exactly what Steve said, that the impact that GTA 3 has had on gaming as a whole over the last 20 years has been phenomenal. There's games that still try and mimic what was being done 20 years ago by Rockstar.
Fair enough.
Beautiful.
GTA 3, our winner is you. That'll do it for this week's standoff, which brings us, Steve, to segment 4. And God, I hope there's not too many questions. We need to wrap this up. Steve, what's been happening in that chat, my friend?
Oh, let me have a look. I think it's just been Sean Games in there tonight. The only question Sean Games has for us is, are we picking up the GoldenEye remake when it comes out? And the answer for me is a resounding yes.
2 thumbs up from me, yes, assuming the bank can agree. What about you, Bully? You be going to grab it?
Depends which GoldenEye it is, I suppose.
Perfect.
Good call.
All right, gentlemen, that's going to do it for this week. I've really got to get out of here. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, everybody. Steve, guys, thank you very much. I'm off duty.
I'm off duty.
I'm off duty.
Thanks very much for watching, guys. Check out the rest of the channel. Like and subscribe.
Oh, that was luck. Hey, that's something.
I love everything about it.
Fire spray.
Old Uncle Donkey.
Donkey.